I'm now going to demonstrate the alternating cable cast on for 2x2 rib. The alternating cable cast on is a beautiful cast on method for rib stitches, as it is stretchy and seamlessly blends into your stitch pattern, and it looks so professional. When you're knitting a 2x2 rib, you're working a pattern of stitches of knits and purls. And for this cast on method, because this cast on blends into these stitches, you'll be creating cast on stitches that mimic the look of knit and purl stitches. So to do the alternating cable cast on method, you're going to start with a tail that's about 5 or 6 inches long. You're going to make a slip knot and place it on your needle. Now we're going to do a knit stitch into that slip knot. But instead of pulling the stitch off of the left needle, you're going to draw it back and catch it through the front, just like that. That's a knit stitch. And now we need to do a purl stitch because it's a 1x1 rib. So the difference between this next upcoming stitch and the previous one was that you knit into the slip stitch like a normal stitch. But this one you're going to come through the back, but between both of the last 2 stitches. And you're going to purl. And like before, instead of pulling that stitch off, you're going to draw it out and catch it with your left needle. Place the yarn to the back. And now we're going to knit into between the next 2 stitches. You're not going to come up like a regular knit stitch. You're going to go in between the front and the back. Wrap around, draw it back. Don't take the stitch off, pull it back and catch it. And again, we're going to do a purl through both. And catch it. Yarn back, do a knit stitch through the front and back, catch it, and now do a purl. You're going to have the yarn in front of your needle, go through the stitch, see where your knit and purl stitches are. The knit stitches have these little V's at the bottom. And the purl stitches, they kind of recess back a little bit. You can also tell what you need to do next in case you lose your rhythm. Wherever the yarn tail is coming out of, at the base of, that's a knit stitch. If the yarn tail is 2 stitches back, then you just did a purl stitch here. So it means now you have to do a knit stitch. And purl. And knit. And purl. And knit. So here you'll see the knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. all the way to the end. And because the yarn tail is coming off the bottom of this stitch, that was a knit stitch. So we just cast on for 1x1 rib. To do a 2x2 rib, alternating cable cast on, it's actually the same process. You cast on for 1x1 rib. But here on the setup row is where we're going to flip some of these stitches around so that we can line them up as 2x2 rib. So if you remember, these are your knit stitches with the little V's on the bottom, and your purl stitches are the ones with the little bumps, and they're recessed a little bit. So now for the setup row, because we have a 1x1 rib pattern going on with the casting on stitches, we need to change it over to 2x2. So this is our knit stitch and this is a purl stitch. Knit, purl. We're going to do some swapping out of some of these stitches. So we'll knit the first one, and we're going to swap this knit stitch for that purl stitch. So go in, catch the knit stitch, bring them off. You can anchor this little purl stitch with your finger here. Place it on here, and now pick up that knit stitch. So you just swapped the order of that knit and purl stitch and place the knit one first. So now go and knit. Now the next one's a purl, so yarn forward, purl. The next one's a purl, which is great. And now we have our knit stitch. Knit. But this is a purl, and we need this one to be a knit stitch again. So once again, go in, catch the next knit stitch, pinch the purl at the bottom, pull them both off, go in and grab that purl stitch and place that knit stitch back on. And now knit. You can see your pattern starting. 2 knits, 2 purls, 2 knits, and now we can do our 2 purls. We're going to knit, and that's the purl again. Pinch it with your finger, grab it, switch up the order, knit it, and do your 2 purls. And then your knit. Go in. Bring them up closer to the point of your needle. Pinch them. And knit. Two purls. And there you can see your pattern starting to form. And that beautiful cast on edge just wrapping around the edge. So knit, catch, and pinch. Swap them up. Purl, purl, knit. We've got that purl where we need the knit stitch again, pinch it, swap them up. And there's your cast on edge.